You went with 4 kids. Wow, 4 kids is a lot to do, but also a lot of fun. So, guys, I still have so much more to say yet. I want to start off with, because I read just like something before in the chat where it was about putting something in the card and then erasing it. It was Andrea. Andrea, can you just share for everyone what kind of happened there? Because I think it's a very perfect example on really displaying the effective energy principles that are taking place there when it comes to, as I call it, creation without lifting a single finger.
Yeah, so the book on Amazon that someone had posted about was $199 for a children's book.
Yeah.
So I added it to my cart without even looking at the price, and then I went back in to see it and I was like, holy shit, it's $199. That's not what I'm going to spend on this. So I deleted it, but it was really from a lack mentality.
So what was happening here is simply like, okay, it came to you and then you rejected it. And this is a perfect example. Seriously, I swear to you guys, this is a perfect example how the $1 million has been trying to come along your entire life. Your entire life. And why is that so? Let me see, is there anything else so far? No, but thanks for sharing. Let me just change the view. So here we are. So, and why is that so? Because in paradise, how the Bible states it, everything is already there abundantly. And I'm pretty sure you guys have heard it before that it's your birthright to be wealthy. Well, actually, it's not. Why? Because the birth is the birth of the human, and the human is full of limitations. So the human doesn't have a birthright to be wealthy, but the divinity of you, that one is, that one has the always owned right to be wealthy AF. And as you guys know, those who are following along on my social media, I'm all about Christ, God, Trinity, like how the Bible states it, simply because it's just like it is in the Bible. Everything is in the Bible. But where did I want to go with that? Because we are not humans, we are gods, yeah. And there is no other God, like there is no man sitting up in heaven and doing all the things. And this is why, for example, religion is also a matrix program, because religion is all about power and control, but not empowering you, but the church. Meaning, let's take the example of praying for a moment. When people pray, they're always praying like, oh, please God, please God, please God, please God. And this is why prayers are unanswered, because that's not a prayer. That is begging. And that is the lack potential. And therefore, your prayer is heard because you're praying for more lack. And so that lack obviously reflects. And that is not praying, that is not asking. Like in the Bible, it states, ask and it is given. That's not how you ask. And at the same time, you also don't ask in a sense of like, because I've read it somewhere in the chat where it was about like affirmations of like gratitude, like, oh, thank you for all the things, whatever, that are not in your physical reality right now. That's kind of like the very same principle. You're trying to convince yourself, but you're constantly playing in that, or you're constantly keeping the lack potential alive. Because as I said in one of the other calls, oh, someone just showed up and went away. As I said in one of the other calls, we cannot change, I said it today in the chat actually, we cannot change energy. We cannot. Yeah. Who of you guys has learned that we can actually transmute energy? Okay, so let me try to find an example. Very easy one. When you have an apple, that apple is an apple. You cannot turn it into a banana. It's simply impossible. So you cannot transmute that energy into a banana. It's not working. But how does it then work? Okay, I have to stop feeding the apple with potential and rather grab a banana, rather choose a banana. And I'm not deciding on a banana, because people then say like, okay, I have an apple in my hand, but because I don't like the apple, now I think I can transmute that energy by deciding, okay, now I want a banana, but I still hold the apple. I have to drop the apple. And so when it comes to manifesting, transmuting energy, changing energy, whatever it is, there are only there is literally that one skill. What we can do is, and there is a really, really good passage in the Bible about that. What we can do is, we can really just like small or bigger, like think of that bubble of the lava lamp, yeah? Like the energy field. You can only make it smaller or bigger, but you cannot change that information in that field. It's impossible. It's like me trying to change an apple into a banana. Good luck with that. That's actually the reason why when I try to change an apple into a banana, that's what people try to do with all the strategic work. When they are all about like, okay, my business is not working. Well, maybe, guaranteed. First of all, guaranteed there is judgment towards that business. And by judgment, I mean every opinion, every belief, every thought, every assumption, like everything that is going on in your head. Yeah. So that's the first thing that is there. And because of that, I just call it judgment. Because of that judgment being there, your brain then starts to think its way on how to fix it. How can I change that damn apple into a banana? And then suddenly it's like, oh, the solution is 10x your marketing. Why? Because your physical eyes have observed it over a couple of years all over the internet. And that was never the cause. It was never the cause. Even for those people where it has worked, yeah. Because I guarantee you, whatever it is that you are doing, maybe you're a strategist, maybe you're working with the subconscious, maybe you're doing some healing techniques. It does not matter. It was never the technique, never. It appears to be, but it's not. If it was the technique, every single person must have the same success. If it really was the technique, but it's not. It goes deeper than that. And when you go deeper, when you dive deeper underneath the strategy, underneath the method, and really start working with grids and potential, then I swear to God, it does not matter. Sorry for that expression. It does not matter what the fuck you do. The money, the wealth, and everything else will always drop in. And at the same time, you become like a ship. Suddenly, you're no longer the one like, oh, I'm sailing that ship. Suddenly you are the ship, and now that ship can be guided to where the wealth is the fastest. Does this make sense to you guys? Let me know. Alexia says, I pray, thank you, Dad. I'm gonna give you an example. When I pray, I mean, a luxury car is not on my desire list simply because for me a car is like some form of metal on wheels that brings me from A to B. I don't care, even if it would be horses, as long as it brings me from A to B, it's fine, yeah? So, but let's say I really, really desire to have a Porsche or whatever, yeah? And then I'm like, thank you for the Porsche. I guarantee you, the target energy is not the one it's supposed to be. The target energy, first of all, is not available in your grid, and it's also not stemming from the abundance potential. Yeah. And when we speak about potential, I've touched base on that with like the novelization powers, yeah. And I've also wanted to give you guys an example because we were just speaking about cars. So an example for a collapse, and this is what you guys have definitely experienced, all of us, yeah. So when I try to, as I said, if I try to fit 1,000,000 liters in there, good luck with that, because you're constantly pouring in, and you will never be able to hold that million, simply because the cup is the wrong cup, yeah. And to give you a specific example with a car, so let's say, or a Bitcoin. Let's say, okay, I want to make money, and now I start trading Bitcoin, and now I do it for others. Da 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 da. So the Bitcoin has a value of 50,000. I cannot make that value 80,000. The Bitcoin is what it is, or 100,000. So the Bitcoin, trading Bitcoin in that moment, doesn't have the right cap. It doesn't have the right potential. But then people, when they then start making some money, they're getting all, as we spoke about yesterday, they're getting all hooked. They're getting all excited about, oh, see, some money is coming in, da 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 da. And now they're speaking to each and every single person they meet about their trading opportunity. And what then happens is over potential is being created. And when you create over potential, and that happens by, for example, when I'm super excited about it, when greed takes over, when selfishness takes over, or when I'm like so overly excited and like very in an euphoric state, yeah, it's all over potential. And the moment where over potential is created, zoom, it collapses. And I guarantee you what happens then with Bitcoin is you've invested all your money and it crashes, maybe for, I don't know, 7 days, 2 weeks, whatever. You've lost all the money, and if there is something left, you pull it all out. So that's then the end result. And that happens also with businesses. Yeah? So when businesses are not structured, I mean, that's business talk, which I actually didn't want to dive in, but let's just scratch the surface. When businesses don't hold the cap for that wealth, it constantly needs to collapse, because you're still trying to do that thing here. You're still trying to fill in the $1,000,000 with that. And now you might think, oh, but wasn't it you who said, like, you don't need the structure and you don't need the strategy? Yes, but not someone else's, yours. And that is a huge difference, because what made someone else, when they are working on a material level, and you can see it when they speak about, oh, it's the marketing that created the millions, or it is the growing the audience, or it is that real technique, or this is how your stories sell, or also on a body level, like when you work on this belief, or when you upgrade your identity, all these things, they are all on the material level. And when you are, like, when it's coming from a material level, it's not yours. It simply isn't. It worked for that person, but not because of the material level. there was some what's the word? There was a thing underneath happening, unknown to these people, because they are in the material level. And so they think, oh, now I figured the posting out. Now I figured the strategy out. That was never the cause. It never caused the wealth in first place. It appears to be like that. And that's all they can see, because they're operating only on the material level. And to give you an example, I'm actually giving you a real life example. That's not even too long ago. I think, I don't know when exactly that was, but I had a really huge bill coming in, and I did not expect that bill at all. So clearly it was also created by me, because there is nothing you don't create. Every single thing has been created by you. That may be if you lose a business, that may be if you lose clients, that may be if you lose money, that may be if your car crashes. It does not matter. It's never someone else's fault. And I know that sometimes a bitter pill to swallow, but only for the avatar. Yeah. There is nothing someone else creates. So to briefly touch base on that example that I read in the chat today about the husband or the partner having a new woman, that's also, and I know this is triggering, I know, but also when you understand consciousness, and like, it's a huge opportunity not to grow, because only the ego grows, for you to expand and to really amplify your abilities for that kind of creation, because it will reveal a lot to you. But also this scenario has been created by oneself. And actually, I'm also the very best example, because I created the very same thing. So it's not that you're like, oh, everything is perfect. It's like, it is what it is. And to be honest, I'm like, when I think about my separation, there was not a moment where I felt bad, simply because I know how to handle that stuff. When I sit there and I'm like constantly dwelling in my thoughts about, ah, at the beginning you always do that, like, oh my gosh, what is he doing? With whom is he doing what? And why is he not here? Da 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 da. Bigger, 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 bigger. And so your energy field grows. And then you keep creating more of this. And so you gotta be making the choice. Do you really want to have a life like this? And that goes, by the way, for every single thing. It goes for business, for wealth, for partnership, for where you want to live, how you want to live. It does not matter. Do you really want to live the way, or recreate the same thing over and over and over again? Or do you really make the choice, not the decision, the choice of like, hey, from today on, that's gonna change. And it's all gonna change super quickly, because to come back to that example of my own, I had that very huge bill coming in, which I did not expect at all. And then I was like, oh my freaking gosh, because all the money was invested. And then we're talking about a 6-figure bill, by the way. So, and that was due, what was the time frame? That was due within, I think, 10 days. And when you have a 6-figure bill and all your money is invested, the human avatar would tend to be like, how can I make money now? And where is it going to come from? Who could I be calling now? Who can I follow up? And what kind of stories can I make so that clients are signing? This is what typically the human would be doing. Or another way, what the human would be doing would be like, okay, when Where is my inspired action? Let me work on a belief. Forget that. Forget that. So what I actually did was like, okay, I noticed that bill being there, and then I completely out of my awareness at all. Not even thinking about it, not dwelling in it, no remembering it, no kind of logically fixing it, no imagining it, no nothing. And instead, as I said, the time frame was about 10 days. And what I did instead was, from the moment that bill arrived, I simply lived my best life. I think that was a week where I was barely online. I was all out and about, simply just like having fun. And I think it was the 6th or 7th day where I was putting my daughter to sleep. And then as I put her down to sleep, I got a really great idea, and I was just like so fired up that I just shared about it. And I don't know what the topic was, but I can even point out that reel on my grid, but right now I don't recall the topic. And so I shared that stuff, and guess what happened? The next morning, someone who I haven't spoken in 1.5 years messaged me saying like, hey, how can I work with you? And she wants long-term work. And then the next day, more than 6 figures were wired on the account. Did I plan that? No. Did I think about that? No. Did I visualize that? Also no. Did I do anything about that or for it? No. And that should also answer the question in a sense of action. The action was never connected to any form of business, meaning I was putting my daughter to sleep. What does this have to do with business? Nothing. As I was putting her to sleep, that idea hit me. Awesome. I went live. Did I even talk about any program? Not at all. Not at all. And then I went to sleep and I received those messages. And this is what that kind of, like, that's the only kind of action that you are doing, meaning it's not coming from you making it happen energy, or you trying to fix it, or you trying to change or do something about it, but rather going with the flow. And I guarantee you, if I would have been in the avatar latest by day 7, my mind would have gone like, okay, I've got 3 days. How are we going to solve this? Should I call this person up? Like, can we kind of like talk about the time frames? Da, 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 da. Or can I pull out money of my investments? Da, 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 da. That would be the making it happen mode. Does this make sense? Yes? Okay. So let me see. I see that exact thing happening with my healthy energy despite not feeling like. Lainey, can you unmute yourself? What do you mean with like, I see that exact thing happening with my health?
Yeah, okay, sorry, it was a while back. I mean, it's the perfect example, just like replay, if it were fill in the blank, it's like instead of the book, I do that with a very practical example is someone was asking me to speak for their private event or whatever this morning. And I'm just like, yeah, I'll get back to you. I I don't want to, like, there's not a part of me that wants to be engaged in doing many of the things that I have done in my life and business thus far. When I did them then, they felt expansive and like an opportunity and just playing with life. And now that all feels old, but I can't seem to feel my way into like, now what? I know what to know, but I don't feel any other
You're not
expansion.
supposed to feel your way through there. with this work, and I know this sounds very contradicting to the mind, yeah, because, and I hear this sentence with every new client when they say, okay, but when I'm not supposed to feel it, like, am I gonna be dead now then or what? Yeah. With that kind of state of consciousness at this level, yeah, I'm not speaking about later on, but at this level, you're not supposed to use emotions because the emotions are part of the matrix, yeah. And you can only, let's analyze this for a moment, yeah, for the graspability for your mind, yeah. So a mental process always starts an emotional process. At the same time, it can also be the other way around, meaning an emotional process then starts a mental process, but both processes being part of the matrix. And this is why when and I'm going to share the link with you guys because I've been asked for the link where people then can continue in the 3 months, yeah. In this work, we are not working with, oh, let me feel into this, or like any form of feeling or thinking, like, no, because we're embodying that state that makes you the room, so that, call it blueprint, call it God, call it whatever you want, because at the end of the day, it's you, where you're being the room and where you can be filled by that room. And what you will notice is that then exactly those things happen. And I mean, I'm pretty sure you've experienced this already, where exactly those things happen, where it's like, okay, boom, suddenly, not only is there what I need, but more than what I need, without me doing anything.
I'm laughing because it still feels like a little bit of a riddle in the sense of when I'm in an expansive state, or I feel like I'm the room, then it feels like the decision, well, the choice rather, is just like easy. I just know where I'm going, what I'm doing. It's like rollerblading through life. I don't have to think about, I'm just moving. I'm not in that place. That's why I'm in this space, because I'm like, part of me does not want to do the call at all. And then another part of me is like, and so you're just going to keep doing nothing? Like, because
I
that's
have a
kind of
question.
the.
I have a
Mhm.
question. Did that call, like, did it just come to you?
No, I actually instigated it out of boredom a while back. And so I think that's why part of me is like, this isn't really, this was you kind of like meddling. You didn't like being in the void. You didn't like not having any action going on. So you started kind of reaching out. And so I tried to make it happen. And so that doesn't feel satisfying to me, because I'm like, yeah, I made it happen. But in the long run, no, I don't want to do it.
So what did you do then? Like, did you do anything with the call already, or nothing?
No, she just asked me to let her know by Monday. And ultimately, she's a photographer that did photos for me that were really great. And then I thought, because she lives nearby me, like an hour or two away, that I could do something within her community and support, her people, and just be in life.
Yeah.
And because I live pretty remote area, so it takes some intention to be involved with other people. Otherwise, I could just be isolated in the forest. And so as I can hear, like as I'm speaking, I can hear that it would stretch me a little, just to like just do it for no reason, but other than to just have the experience.
So the thing is, sorry for my blunt expression. If I hit you on your head and now you're suffering amnesia, what would be your possibility with that call?
It's really hard to play amnesia. My brain immediately associated it with work that I've already done. So it judges it as I've been there, done that. Now it feels like we're going backwards.
So you see, you see also it's the judgment, yeah? And as I said, this is why the next 3 months are gonna be crucial, because we don't think, we don't feel, we don't go into stories, we don't judge, we don't hold any opinions, but rather really practice that state. And then I guarantee you, everything starts moving without you doing anything, because suddenly you no longer try to control it. And that's what humans love. They love to control life. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. We're not supposed to control life. We do have control with the remote, but we don't need to control when we're being Super Mario in the TV or on the screen. And we think we are a Super Mario trying to control that level.
Mm-hmm.
We never lost control, but we just don't do it from the human. And this is where things then start to be magical. Yeah. Okay, awesome. So now I also have Liz ask a question of Liz. Liz, please, can you unmute yourself and just ask the question again so that everyone can participate in the conversation?
Yeah, sure. So what I'm asking is when you do it's not attract, the word's not attract, but when something does come into your field and your human avatar judges it as, oh, I don't want to do that, then should we be doing it anyway because it is something that's come into the field, even if the desire isn't there to do it or the passion isn't there to do it? Because, you know, I do attract work in, but it's like, it is work. It is work. I attract work in, but I don't necessarily want to do it. So
Then why?
are you?
I guarantee you, in your grid, as I said, there are 3 grids. There is the Earth grid, then there is your grid and the cosmic grid. And I guarantee you, your grid is aligned for money coming through the work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so this is why this represents itself. You can also just have like, hey, I'm a private year. I'm being lazy. I'm just traveling the world and everything is fine. That could also be your choice. So just to make you aware, right now, your grid is active on exactly money through work. Yeah. And this is why it shows itself. Yeah. And what was the first question where you said, oh, about the, okay, if I don't want to do it, yeah? The thing is, you don't have to when you align your grids. You don't have to, yeah? But only when you align your grids. Otherwise, it ends up like this. When your grids remain the same, it's like, okay, work coming through that channel of work. What happens then is, and you say, no, 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 no. Guaranteed, you're running out of business, and guaranteed, you're coming into an existential crisis. Yeah. Or you simply realign the grids, and also talking about those energy fields, yeah, and biochemistry, as you guys remember, when you make with the target energy those energy fields bigger and therefore kind of like erase the distance, what then happens is suddenly you start creating reference points to like, money comes in differently. It doesn't have to be work. Huh? And that would then, only that is then when you have reference points, is when you then start kind also not from the avatar, but from consciousness, where you then choose which one is first and which one second. I'm not saying say no to choose something, but you could also say yes later. Yeah. Because then what happens is when you have the all the things that I just said, what then happens is you do have those reference points in your energetic signature, and therefore you then can say, for example, let's say money comes in through the work on Monday, and then you're like, okay, completely unbothered by it. And then on Monday night, for example, you receive a call from an aunt in, I don't know, America, that your uncle from like 3 corners, I don't know how far, like how far in the family, just died, and he left the villa in, I don't know, Beverly Hills, whatever. And now you also got the money. So then you can say, yes, I can do this job, but not right now. And then I don't have to worry about it because that job will take care by itself. Either it will still be there and maybe in an upper leveled version, or it just moved itself out of my 3D because they gave it to someone else. And I'm gonna give you an example talking about money coming through work. It's a really great example because what has Tinder to do with like 6 figures? Nothing. But the fun fact is because my grids are aligned for several channels, like really, I don't care. I don't care. Let's say if one business breaks or all business break, I don't care. Why? Because I've been in places where everything broke. And this is why I know that works so well, because in those places I became aware, I created that crap. So let me look at my grid. And so I realigned everything. And what happened then was I'm not a big fan of like dating portals, not at all. And I don't hold any emotional charge to it, but like if I meet someone out and about, it's nicer. Yeah, it's just like in person. It's like I'm old fashioned. Yeah. However, I then had, did someone tell it to me or, oh yeah, I was on the phone with a friend of mine and she was talking about Tinder, blah blah blah. And then she said like, oh, you gotta be go on Tinder as well. And I was like, I somehow can't be bothered, but okay. So I went on Tinder and guess what happened? I met a guy and we started talking and we had such a great laugh. And then this guy was like asking me about my work. And then he was like, hey, like, could you do that exact same thing for enterprises? And I said, yeah, why not? Works for every single topic on everything. It does not matter. Like there is no niche because it's the principles on real creation and not the reverse game. And so it works, as I always say, creation works for every topic on everything in one and the same way. And then he said like, yeah, he would have a job for me. And I said like, what kind of job? And he said like, he is in a very huge company. I think they have, what was it? Like over 2,000 employees, like huge, yeah. And then he said like, I'm gonna talk to the CEOs and now they want me to train all of their teams, including all the management people on that kind of creation. And that is a multi-6-figure deal. And this is why I say, what has Tinder to do with multi-6 figures? Nothing. If I would have sat there and said like, hey, how can I make $1 million or whatever? And then I go online and then I see people like mastering your message and do the funnel and grow your audience and throw out stories every single day or build a YouTube channel or post on LinkedIn. That's all material level. When you try to create from material level, the human, to material level, the manifestation, it will always leave you the one having to make it happen and do something first, in a sense of like, okay, I get to have all these things in place and then maybe I get the end result. and that maybe I get that end result happens for a lot of people. As I said, everyone, if it was really about the material method, then everyone, regardless the topic, if I go to a marketing strategist and say, hey, I want to meet the man of my dreams, that marketing strategy should then work on me having a great partner, right? No, it doesn't. It only works for getting clients. Versus when you work with real creation, it does not matter if it's the million, if it's the marriage, if it's the dream home, if it's the travel, if it's the even if you want to be a speaker worldwide on, I don't know, like huge stages, it does not matter. It's always the same way of creation. And that's also an indication. When it's a material method, it probably only works on one topic and not on every topic. Does this make sense to you guys? Let me know. So we're trying to change what is. Isabel, can you unmute yourself? What do you mean?
Me? What did I just say?
You wrote in the chat, so what we're trying to change what is. That was your question.
Oh yeah, that was when you started talking at the beginning of the call in. You were talking about changing the apple into the banana, or like trying to, kind of like
Yeah.
change into the car or whatever. So my question was that is that an example of when we're trying to change what's in front of us and what is rather than changing the focus to something different and leaving what is alone? Because what is already is, right? There's no point in changing it.
We have a quote, and it doesn't exist in English, but I try to kind of like translate it in English. It won't make a lot of sense though. It's like we have a saying, and that says that cheese is bitten, meaning, okay, it's like 3D. In that very moment, whatever is in 3D, it's like a finished print. However, that printer never stops. So instead of me trying to change that one page, that one printed page, well, why not feed the printer with different information so that he prints a different picture? That's a lot easier than trying to change a printed page. Yeah. It's like as if I'm in that superstore that I said yesterday, where everything is already available right now. Oh, so good that we touch base on this topic. So we are in that big superstore with all those big shelves, and everything is there right in this very moment, even in 3D. Yeah? Because nothing is being created. This is why we don't manifest. It is already existent in 3D also. Yeah? And then it would be the same as if I'm like, I'm in the egg aisle and I'm trying to get honey. And I'm like staring at those eggs. And because the eggs are the eggs, I now take the eggs personal and say, something must be wrong with me because I'm looking at eggs. And then I'm healing my father wound, and I'm healing my mother wound and my money wound and any wounds and whatever, because I take it personal that I am looking at eggs. So what do the eggs have to freaking do with you? Nothing. You would never do that in real life. Never. Not in a million years. But
so I have a follow-up question to that.
Yeah.
So if we're looking at real life, that's a great example actually, but if we're looking at real life, and we want to change the information that we're looking at, that we're feeding the printer with, right? So I think it was on day one, you were asking us what's our desires, and we were all writing in the chat, and you kind of looked through the chat and you said, I want you to be more detailed, So, and so when we're feeding the printer with new information, are we actually just kind of like I think someone said it in the chat that day. Are we just living in the end? Are we just sort of like practicing that which we want to experience? And that's how we feed information to the printer so that we're more detailed in what we want.
No, not in this state. Why? Because
Okay.
first we have to master the two potential fields in
Okay.
the grid. Yeah. When and otherwise, if I would go and feed the printer right now, for example, I'm looking at this page. I don't like this page. Clearly. Why? Because otherwise I would not feed the printer different information. So it's probably the lack potential, what I'm actually feeding. So this is why the potential field in the grid first must be mastered. And when that one is done, it does not matter if you actually are very specific about your desire, or if you keep it general, it does not matter. Why? Because you're such a big room, you actually then are the superstore. Yeah. But when you do it right away and you're like, oh shoot, I don't like this print. Now let me adjust the printer. You're only doing that because you don't like the print. You're doing it from a place of judgment.
Okay, so can I keep going?
Yeah.
Okay, so I get that and I understand the point. I remember in our previous conversations we were talking about play and just doing things because it's just we're just playing, right? So I'm doing things because not because I want to change what is, meaning I don't want to change the apple into egg, into honey, into a banana. I'm doing it because I'm having a hell of a time and I'm enjoying it and I'm having fun, right? But wouldn't that play then into an emotion? Is that not an emotion of being happy, being joyful, being content, grateful,
Not
blah, blah,
at
blah,
this
all the
state.
things?
No, not at this state. Not at this state. It also comes in, but at a later point.
Okay.
Yeah. It comes in, but at a later point. That's crucial to know. Not as of now. Because a counter question to everyone. Do you know anyone who is like, or maybe yourself from the past, where you were super happy with your life, all excited and all good? Did that give you the millions? So you see, it doesn't, that's at a later point, that's the very, very last thing. And when you master the first, like the initial phase, you don't have to worry about the next thing because that one almost happens then by itself. Yeah. Okay. And something I wanted to touch base on is I think talked about the store. Did I have some notes here? Hold on. No, I forgot it. Doesn't matter. Okay. Didn't someone raise the hand? Lainey, makes sense conceptually, yes, and there's space where I want to apply it more practically, though I know it's for me to go out and live as health. Okay, that one was this one. Difference between choice and decision. Thank you. We're gonna touch base on that in a little bit. Camille has a question, then we go to choice and decision.
Super quick, what you were just talking about with Isabel about the next step, is that imagination? Is that what we're talking about? No, something else. Okay, I need to watch the replay. I'm lost. Thank you.
Okay. So where were the difference between choice and decision? When you make a decision, I'm gonna give you a very simple example, and I guarantee you, all of us, as we're sitting here, have experienced it. When you're being at a job, and then you do that job, you like that job, you learn a lot in that job, you maybe travel a lot in that job, and after a while, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, 10 years later on, suddenly the job is no longer like your job. Yeah. And then you decide to either grow a business or start a business, or you decide to get a different job, whatever the decision is. A decision is so different from a choice. And this is why I'm very, as you might have guessed today, I'm also looking at how you guys express what you want to say. I'm also very much looking at language, because language is also frequency, and language holds a lot of frequency that feeds fields and grids that are actually the cause to what is happening in your 3D. Yeah? So going back to that job, when I make the decision, I'm gonna get a new job or I'm gonna start a business, a decision is always like from a thing, like let's say that thing that I no longer like, which is, as you now know, a judgment. It's just a moving away from that. But it does not mean I've made a new choice. It only means, okay, I'm moving away. That's the frequency behind it, to get away from it. Yeah? But a choice is I don't have to decide to get away from it. A choice literally is, okay, regardless of the job, oh, I'm actually, I don't know, now I want to be a painter. Painting is really amazing. I enjoy painting very much. Yeah? I choose to paint regardless of the job. So one is for moving away from something I don't like, and the other one is really moving towards, if we want to say that this way, it's just for the sake of understanding, moving towards something that I simply enjoy. Does this make sense to you? And this goes, by the way, for a lot of things, because this is why I pointed out today. We don't manifest. We also don't attract something, because attraction has nothing to do with us, just like the eggs. And this is why I started already pointing out that in language, because you will also learn why in the upcoming 3 months, simply because it's very crucial. Even, let's say, for an example, even you might say it's a word or an expression you are not aware of, like you might say, hey, completely neutral word for me, yeah, but it's not. Why? Because a whole collective is using that word. So for example, if we only use that word work, to someone with amnesia, he doesn't even know what work is. Yeah, to that one this applies. Yes, to that person that word is neutral, but not to you. Why? Because the word work, its origin stems from slavery, and that has been I don't know, that's kind of like, doesn't sound very well, but it has been transported throughout the ages by the collective. And so that word, whenever you use it, you're always using that frequency of slavery, always unknown to you. Even though you might think, hey, that word work, I don't hold an emotional charge. Well, maybe you don't as the avatar, but the word does. And that's two different things. But if it still feels like a big no, I guess the question is if it should always be yes. You mean when things are coming to you, Reliquia? Can you just unmute yourself for a moment? I don't hear you. Does anyone else hear her? Hello, hello, hello? Nope, we don't hear you. Nope. Okay, so just nod if I'm right. So you mean when things are coming to you, whether or not you decide to say yes or no, or whether or not it's always a yes. Is that the question? Okay, awesome. That one I answered just before. When you do this from the human avatar, then, as I said with Liz before, if her grid is like money coming through that one channel of work, and from that grid, she would be like, okay, now I'm saying no, now I'm saying no. It ends probably in a little bit of a crisis. But when you, from consciousness perspective, and when you understood grid work, what then happens is, yes, then you get to say yes in the middle. In the middle, you say yes right now, yes a little bit later, yes tomorrow, whatever, yeah? And then later on, you already know, and not from your mind, not at all from your mind, and also not in your body. It's how do I describe that? It's a knowing, it's not felt in the body, and it's not thought by thinking, yeah? And then because you have the information too, okay, if that is the energy field and that holds that information, you already know the way, simply because your mind is translating that information of that field, yeah? And this is why you then know yes or no. And by the way, from consciousness, I love that so much, because consciousness doesn't think, that's only the mind, yeah? But the way, or one of the pieces that we're also gonna do is like how you actually ask those questions, because how consciousness actually started to divide itself into 8 billion drops, yeah? It's like, it was never about like, oh, now I'm deciding I'm splitting myself into 8 billion people. No. Consciousness always divides itself or multiplies itself, or however you want to say that, by questions. And there are literally like 3 specific ways of how to ask a question, so that you are tapped from the tapped consciousness, you as the avatar are receiving, yeah? And that play is gonna be a play of us in consciousness, and then from that perspective, we are then playing the avatar. And not like, okay, I'm playing the avatar, one day I'm the avatar, one day I'm consciousness, one day I'm the avatar, one day I'm the consciousness. Because that is kind of like, you will get a whiplash from that, yeah? So it's like consciousness, and from that position, you play the avatar. So do you say yes to everything that comes in, even if your avatar judges it as you don't want to do it? Well, that's the thing. My avatar, I know how to handle my avatar. So my avatar doesn't even finish a thought of judging. It doesn't even finish it. And that is practice. That is simply practice. I ask because I have to work coming in that I don't want to do. Judgment. Toss it. The judgment, not the work. Judge it. Judge it, sorry. Toss it. You gotta be learning how to toss all judgments. And as I said, that's every thought, every belief, every opinion, every preference, every assumption, everything that you think you know, everything. All at once. And that's actually where then the magic starts to happen. And the reason why that state is so crucial, because that is the only state where reality becomes moldable. Without that state, reality is not moldable. It's only experienceable. And this is why people came up with the concept of duality. because they are in a non-moldable reality, and therefore it's only experienceable. And then they say, oh, we're experiencing duality. It's kind of like, okay, to give an answer to the mind of why reality is not moldable. Does this make sense? I'm pretty sure it does. Melina says, speaking of amnesia, I've had an experience of losing my memory for a period of time. Oh, and even now, 20 years later, I have Swiss cheese brain, where I have random remembering where does amnesia fit in this? You mean in context to your physical amnesia? Where is Melina? Unmute yourself. Is Melina here?
So yeah, I'm here.
Ah, okay.
Hi,
Hi,
So-
awesome. Great outfit.
oh, thank you. My doggie has one on too. See, she's a bumblebee.
Cute.
Um, so I almost feel like it was like a precursor into the work you're talking about, because I needed to forget everything. And so even parts of my past, I don't fully remember now. I didn't know my kids' names for weeks. I didn't know my address. I didn't know anything.
What a relief.
And when I got some of it back, yeah, well, no, I love my kids, but I didn't remember my ex. I was about to go through a big divorce, and I didn't remember my husband even at the time. I still divorced him, but because then I remembered some things. But my point is I feel like it was a precursor to put me on an awareness that when you just kind of let it all go. So how does that fit in though here? We basically have to have a form of amnesia, right, to be able to do this work that you're talking about?
Well, it's kind of like, I'm not gonna slap you guys on the head if that's what your question is. Like,
Okay, thank you.
there is like a really easy way on, or it is very easy once practiced, yeah, how to get into that state, yeah, but it takes practice. But the amnesia state is literally the best state you can have. And for example, to point it out also, when I said, oh, what a relief, you instantly jumped in and said like, oh, but I love my children. That was a judgment because
yes.
Awesome, what a relief. Awesome. I never said that it means, oh, you love your children less because it's a relief that you don't know any name.
Yeah. I see that. Yeah, absolutely. I see that.
Okay, awesome. By the way, great costume. I love the little bee.
Oh, isn't she great? She won't wear her bumblebee stuff, so I wear it for her on the head. Teamwork.
Yep, that's true. Okay, so where are we? And now to let you to give you a little overview, yeah, because as I said, I am going to drop the link today. I think, should I be sending it by email or here? I will do both. I will send it here in the chat and also in the email. Let me see, can I send it here? Because I also want to touch base on so that you guys get a picture of what is happening in there, yeah? So what we are doing is we're getting you in a state where there is no belief, where there is no thought, where there is no judgment, no opinion, no identity, no feeling, no thinking, none of that, yeah? And as in that state, you will get to practice. Now it came back with the store. You will get to actually practice real awareness. And there are so many, how am I gonna say? There are so many explanations out there on what awareness or consciousness really is. It doesn't mean, or it can mean, yes, a focus on something, but we wanna practice that pure conscious state without any focus to anything, yeah? And that will remove your current perception filter based up on the grids and the energetic fields and everything, yeah? And then when that one is practiced, you already started, you will see in that space how quickly things shift. And then we'll add on the grid work in your grid in combination with the 2 other grids, which you can do then easily for yourself in combination with the energetic fields, and then utilize consciousness on the field and the grid. That's all you got to do. Sounds complicated. Trust me, it's super simple. So that you guys know what to expect, because I know for many of you, this is very new. Oh, again, a rhyme. I love rhymes. And this is why it sounds complicated, but it's not. It's a phase of adjustment, yes, that I will say, but this is why we actually do have the Telegram, because also in the 90 days, there is Telegram. Why? Because I want you guys to really master this. Why? Because it's changing lives. And on top of that, I really want to build a community of like really conscious, wealthy people where it's like that. I don't want to call it new, because we've had this matrix before where really wealth is being created how it's meant to be created, where everything is being created how it's meant to be created. And it's not me saying this. I'm just going to share the link. It's not me saying this. It's what is in the Bible. It's what has been there for 2024 years. And yet, even that book has been abused for leaving us powerless, for literally feeding into the current system, feeding into you being or remaining the avatar. Yeah. When that book has everything in there. So Jessica is coming in, even though we are at the end so far. And what we're also going to do is you will also learn how to work with target energies, because you guys know a grid. Like when you look at, for example, who of you guys know like those plastic planets that you can illuminate, where you can turn them and then you say, oh, look, here is Costa Rica. You know those balls that you had on your desk in the 90s? Do you know them? It's like those balls that represent the planet Earth, and inside was like a lamp and you could illuminate them. You guys know them? No? Okay, bad example. So, but you guys all know a grid. A grid is literally this and this, yeah? It's like a grid, like Instagram grid, yeah? And there are all dots, yeah? And these dots are actually that reference that I was speaking of, yeah? In combination, like there is, I will explain it all very logically, like systematically, so it will make sense in the 3 months. And then you to change your biochemistry, and then you have a different let me look up that word. You have a different circuit within the grid. So it's no longer that and that dot connecting, but for example, this and this and this dot connecting, yeah? And this is why actually, when people don't know about grids or how this works, that's the cause too why you can implement every possible strategy, method, technique, whatever it is that you want. It won't work because that's all the material level. And as I said in today's call, when you as the avatar, you're also material level, are trying to work something out on a material level, it always leaves you being the one paying the price of effort or failure. And then turning it back on yourself, thinking something was wrong with you, which is not true at all. Yeah? Because there is nothing wrong with you when you stare at X. X has nothing to do with you. So guys, any questions so far?
I think someone, oh, sorry, Michaela.
Hold on. I don't see who it is. Here, hi.
Right here. I think someone asked in the chat, and I'm going to ask the biggest difference from the Christ Consciousness 10 Days of Boxer.
It has nothing to do at all with what you learned in Dead Space.
Okay.
Because as I said, I think I said it 2 days ago, that is really like 10 days for adjusting the human. Yeah. This is like now the amplified version of how you get to toss it all. In that moment, like in an instant, you can drop it all. I see your how.
Yes, exactly. I'm just very curious. And is this something that you've used with other clients before? Like, is this the first time that you're going to teach
No,
this
I have
to?
been using is the wrong word. I have been teaching. It's teaching, yeah. It's not using, it's teaching and implementing since I would say it's like a couple of months now.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why, and even myself, I'm not doing it any other differently now, no longer.
Okay.
Because it's everything a lot quicker. And the fun thing is, everything that we do in there has a very scientific explanation to it, but no one ever linked those two. Not even Joe Dispenza.
Oh, come on, don't trash my boyfriend. He's good.
That was not a judgment. It's just like, okay, he didn't link it. It just is. No good, no bad, nothing.
I'm super curious about it. And I do have to say that, okay, I feel like I have 1,000 questions and I don't want to hog everybody's time. But so I had sort of like, say, 70-30, 40-60 success with the 10 Days of Boxer, right? Like a lot of things changed and I did it exactly the way you and I talked about during those 10 days, right? But there were things that were very difficult for me. And I still practice everything that we learned. And like the purification part, those things were like, holy fucking shit. Like, how do we, it was very difficult for me.
You can then forget about that piece at all.
Okay.
Complete new way.
Okay, right. And 90 days money back guarantee, right? I'm joking.
Sorry,
I
what?
said 90 days money back guarantee, but I was joking. That was a joke.
You will make a lot more than
I have to say I'm quite shocked at the price because I thought this was going to be way more expensive. I mean, knowing the quality of the work that I've done with you in the past. So I appreciate it. It's still a little bit out of my range. I think I'm going to do it, but it's still like, wow.
It is
not bad.
90 days and I think, I don't know if I said that it's going to be weekly calls. It's not daily, it's weekly calls. Every week, every Tuesday. It's actually starting this upcoming Tuesday, also 8 p.m. Why? because that's the time where 95% of the time my daughter is asleep. Sometimes she isn't, but most of the time she is. Hold on, where is I need a different gallery here. 95% of the time she is, and it starts already on Tuesday. And as I said, for me, the main goal in this is to really start building a community of conscious, wealthy, healthy people that are really living in their dream realities. And this is why you might say, okay, but this is kind of like super different price to any other program that I have. The others are private. Don't forget that. They're like, you have done the 10 days of Voxer. Yeah. First of all, that's private only. And second of all, this is a group. But the intention for me is I want to have a worldwide community and I want to grow this community. Yeah. Simply because it's been there for 2024 years, completely overlooked. Yeah. All right, guys. Yes, I'm all in for community too. And what you will see is when you have a community where you can constantly just bring yourself in. And I'm not speaking about, you will also see that throughout the time, roundabout after, I would say 6 to 7 weeks, there comes a point where we no longer talk about stories. Yeah, there comes a point where we start asking questions. Simply because the first I would say around about 6 weeks, it's all about like, okay, now let's get into the non-judgmental state. And when that one, as said, is established, then it's about utilizing consciousness. How you utilize consciousness is by questions. And there is a very specific technique on how you can ask so that the information of the field, when that field has been opened, how you receive that information. And it has nothing to do with like, okay, from the human avatar in a sense of like, what should I be doing? Or how am I gonna solve this problem? Or should I date this guy? No, that's the avatar questions. We don't use avatar questions. Wow, Andrea is super quick. Welcome, Andrea. You're the first one in the matrix, in the new matrix, by the way. All right, guys. So we have one more. Wow, tomorrow is already day 5. Don't you think they went by like this? Kind of like, shoot, the week is over. But no worries. We have 3 more months to go, which is freaking awesome. And tomorrow we're gonna speak about, I want to touch base on the children topic because some of you guys have children, some don't. It's gonna be part of tomorrow's conversation. And also, speaking of brain frequency, we're also touching base on that because children are very freaking damn good at that. Yeah. So we're kind of like touching base on the child topic as well because it complements the whole consciousness topic. And at the same time, when you understand that, it complements your child. So you see, it's again full circle. Okay. You are the best part of my month this month. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Wow. Now I get really teary eyes. It's like, thank you. How long will the replays be up? The replays for this week, you're gonna have access forever, 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 ever, ever. All right, guys, I see you tomorrow, same time. Not the same room, you get a new Zoom link, but I will post it again in Telegram. And for now, everyone, thank you for taking time on Halloween, and I hope you guys enjoy it today, celebrate it, and just like write awesome memories. See you tomorrow. Bye.